Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Pompey Patter. I am joined by, as always, Daz and Harry. Few things discussed this week. I think we're going to start off with something a bit more positive and talk about the contract extensions of John Mousinho and Ritchie Hughes. So we are going to ask the question first to Daz. What's your thoughts and feelings on the news?
I think it's at a time where everything's a little bit unsettled, obviously because of results recently. I think it's absolutely ideal to get these guys tied down to a contract, especially the likes of Richard Hughes, because obviously I think as a sporting director or football director, they're the sort of the one that's going to be there when the coaches move on, because obviously the whole point of getting a sporting director is the player signs for the club, and like the sport director, say for example, instead of a coach. So obviously then when a coach leaves, it's not like they're going to be left out because the sporting director then goes and gets a coach with similar credentials and that and a similar style of play. But yeah, I think it's a real good positive when everything's a little bit up in the air results wise at the moment. Um, but yeah, I mean they both deserve it, and I suppose when you've got a couple of sackings already happening in the championship, it's good to get like John Mousinho, tied down to a decent sized contract just in case. I personally don't think that another club would take a punt on him just yet. I think they would probably want to see what he's like this season and how he does. Um, so I think we would be safe anyway, but it's always best putting a bit of safeguarding in there just in case. And obviously with Richard Hughes, the bloke worked wonders since he's been here. Um, and yeah, so I'm really happy about it. Absolutely buzzing.
Harry, I would argue that probably getting Hughes tied down is more important than getting Mousinho tied down.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one that's the fact that we've managed to get both of them at the same time is like a really big coup for us. As Dad said, Stoke have sacked Schumacher. Obviously, Ryan Lowe left Preston after a game, but I think that was a bit of an overhang from last season. And Cardiff have sacked, no idea, I'd say Errol Barut or something else. I don't know how you say his name, but they've already pulled the trigger after some poor starts. So we could have easily done the same. But the fact that he's signed a new 4-year contract, he confirmed that it already ran till 2026 and he's gone till 2028. I would imagine Rich Hughes is probably the same or similar, certainly in contract length. Tying them down shows that they have full belief in both of them and what they're doing, and it's fully rewarded. It's both of their first full season having been in the club. Obviously, Rich Hughes came in October when Danny Cowley was here, and obviously then it went downhill when Mousinho was put in the following January. So last season was their first full season working together, and the fact that they have such a good rapport together, they seem to work together really well. So I think it was key having them both sign at the same time.
Yeah, I think we all can agree. Getting them both done is exactly what was needed. I think there was some speculation, I believe, that Mousinho failed to agree a new deal. Did anyone else see that?
Yeah, I think that was kind of in and about the summer, but from what I've read on the news and from Andy Moon was Messina had kind of just said, look, my contract isn't a priority right now. Let's focus on getting the right players in the building, replacing the people that have left, getting it all the other building blocks put together, and then we can look at my contract after, which I totally get because he's not in any rush because the previous contract was until 2026 anyway. So he still had a 2-year deal going. It's not like it was running out next year. So there was no rush. And the fact that we've now got it done a couple of weeks into the season, yes, no issue. I think it's just people creating stupid rumours again.
Right. Time to unfortunately move on to the gutting, for me, it was absolutely gutting result on Saturday against Burnley because I thought we were played really, really really well. Maybe arguably our best we played all season. Especially, how we had a bit more of a solid back four, all playing in their correct positions. Or even for Ogilvy looked a lot better. Having Paul McIntyre back, it was just like a completely different team. So let's start with the positives. Harry, I'm going to go back to you because I know Daz said you didn't see much of the game. First half performance, Harry, was top quality, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was probably the best 45 that we've probably potentially played so far this season. We looked up for it. We were happy to concede possession to Burnley, which we did against Leeds and we did against Middlesbrough, which is a slightly different tactic to last year, but it's good that we've been able to adjust pretty well. And because last year, obviously, we had a lot of the ball and teams did what we're doing now against us. Against teams this year, they did it against us. So being able to change the tactics is good management, and I think we played pretty well. I mean, Burnley had a lot of possession, but I didn't feel they did an awful lot with it. And the fact that we were able to have two fit centre halves playing together, my God, did it make a difference? You could just see that they were more comfortable. There was less panic within the whole kind of defensive unit. Obviously, Williams did a brilliant job, and there's nothing against him. He's playing out of position. He did a job while he was there, but the fact that we actually now have two fit centre halves, you could see that it made such a difference, and you could just, I couldn't believe how much it just makes you realise how good Regan Poole is. The fact he managed to last the 90 minutes is, for one, amazed me, but it just solidified having that base, and Potts and Pack as well, just in front. They were doing a lot better. But the first half, it was pretty even. I think until we scored, the biggest chance again came to us with Ogilvy hitting the post. But it was a pretty balanced first half, really. I didn't think Burnley particularly went out to attack us. They just kind of fiddled around with the ball.
Now, Daz, I know you would have seen the goal. Very good build up to it. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Zach Swanson who won it back, wasn't it? It was around about the halfway line and plays it into Potts. And from the extended highlights I've seen, I thought Potts was brilliant in the 60 minutes he played, and you could just see how confident he was running with the ball, creating some space, and then popping it into Lane, who opened up, put it out to Murphy, and I thought that was great little pass from the Murphy to back into Lane. And those efforts across goal, they're always going to cause issues. Whether it's a defender that might get something on it, might go for a corner or even in his own net, and ideally you want one of your centre forwards or attacking players attacking, especially that back post. Obviously, I think maybe Sadie could have been ideal because Sadie could have been there, but fair play to Lang, who was there to finish. So look, from what I saw, because obviously, as I said, when you watch extended highlights or highlights, you don't get the feel of all of it and all the build up and stuff like that. But from what I did see, I thought Potts was really instrumental in that. And yeah, it's good to see Lane kind of back to what he was doing last season, getting in around there in the box, driving in, and then putting the ball across for Lang to finish. Because I don't think we've seen that Lane just yet. He's starting to get better, and I think he's starting to get used to the league a little bit, like maybe Ogilvy, who had a good game on Saturday. So it's positive. It's good. I like the way we worked through them. Burnley aren't an easy side. They've got some good players, and their back line is very experienced, and they've got some decent players in there. So to carve them open like that shows that wherever they're working on the training ground, does come through.
Yep, certainly does. The first half, years apart, especially from the last the Sunderland West Brom games. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was just watching a completely new team. Given you can't take every performance as they come. We need now a stretch of that sort of performance, and I believe we play like that again we'll win or at least pick up points more often than not. Moving on to the second half, obviously Burnley had to wake up. Still didn't really create chances, but both their goals were very disappointing, especially the second goal. What do you think, Harry? What's your thoughts on both the goals we conceded?
Yeah, again, the beginning of the first half didn't really, the second half rather, didn't really change from the first until he brought on Jeremy Sarmiento and see the quality that he's got. And as soon as he came on, he started to cause problems. But the first goal, I'll quickly kind of have a look at, was you could see he's right-footed, right? So he's playing on the left, so he's an inverted winger. You always know 9 times out of 10 he's going to try and cut in on that right foot. So you should be wary that he's going to be doing that as a defender. And I think it was Pack was kind of in front of him from where it had come from. I think it was a corner, and you would want to be closing off the inside and making him go round the outside on his weaker left foot. And he kind of dummied it again, and he just gained an extra 2-3 yards on Pack and just managed to curve it right round into that corner. And I don't think there's anything that you can that Will Norris could have done about that, because he had bodies in front of him and it was kind of right in the corner. It's disappointing. It's a really good strike. It's a good goal, but it felt preventable, because you should know because he's like their talisman. You should know more about him, and he's not an unknown quantity that you haven't played against. He's not like an academy player. You would have seen him last season where he was on loan, and then you'd have seen him this season as well. You should know that he's going to cut in on his right foot.
Yeah, well, you're talking about, no blame on Norris. Maybe there could be, don't get me wrong, there was other factors, but is there any blame on Norris, Daz, in your eyes?
For their equaliser?
No, for the winner.
Oh, for the winner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the collection of errors, isn't it? It's like it starts with Ritchie with that back heel, which obviously now he's come out and apologised. That a player of his experience, that was just ridiculous, and it might show the fact that he's not match ready as such. He might not even be match fit. So I think making those certain decisions in those points in the game shows that he's not match sharp yet, in my view anyway. And then I think when the ball goes across the edge of the box, we don't press well enough again. It's obviously probably a combination of tired legs and tired minds and stuff like that, but when we're playing in the Championship, we're going to come up against quality who can be quality for 90 minutes, not 90 plus minutes, where in League One, you might be able to get away with that in the last part of the game, but we need to be switched on and at it to the final whistle, especially in those sort of dying minutes when we're playing against the likes of Burnley. So I don't think we pressed well enough on the edge of the box. And then obviously it was a P roller, wasn't it, into the corner. And by the looks of it, Norris has been caught flat-footed, where he looks like he's gone to his left and then he just can't get across. I think even if he had dived, he would never have got it. His whole body weight's gone left and he can't get back to the going right. And it's just, you don't mind if Brownhill picks it up and we still press him and he pings it top corner. You take those, a bit like the equaliser, even though we could have done a little bit better, like trying to show him out the other way rather than inside. But sometimes with plays of that quality, they can get that half a yard. But yeah, it's a very poor equaliser to concede. And it's one of those things where it's probably 3 different areas that leads up to the winner happening, and it all really starts with Ritchie. And obviously, I know he's come out and apologised, which is fair play. And he's always going to be disappointed with himself, isn't he? I mean, if you don't play at the level he's played at and then do something like that in a game and not feel it afterwards. So I don't think he should come under too much stick, because obviously he's probably had it. He's probably given himself enough. So hopefully we can move on from there, and hopefully that gives him sort of something to sort of try and forget and then try and improve on his performances, because obviously he's been a bit out of it since he's been coming back. But that could be, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, obviously Norris does play a part in it, where he probably doesn't set himself properly. But I wouldn't blame just him, and it's just like a catalogue of errors, which meant, unfortunately, we didn't come away with a point which we probably deserved at the end of it. But I mean, that's what it is. When you go up high levels, you can't afford to make certain mistakes. You can't afford to switch off. Yeah, it's not ideal, but here we are.
What did you both think? Quick question from me is what did you both think of Mousinho's comments in his post-match presser where he outed Ritchie publicly? What did you think of that? Did you think that was kind of justified,
Yeah.
or do you think he should have kind of kept that in the dressing room?
No,
because I haven't got a problem with it. I think he deserved it because, especially as a player with that experience, as Daz said, if it was an academy player or it was someone like Blair who's just arrived, I don't think he'd have done that. But I think he's trying to set his expectations for Ritchie so high because he's been brought in as an experienced head and he's the one that's got it wrong.
No, I got no issue. I think that's the play. Like, if you're going to pick on a player, you'll pick on your Ritchies, your Packs, because you know they can take it. It's not going to affect their game. They probably had worse in their career. It's not an issue. And we'll get on to Ritchie in a bit more in detail. We definitely need to talk about it. But going back to the goal, where I disagree with Daz, I think Norris could have at least got a hand to it or something if he reacted. I went all a bit Jamie Carragher in our group chat. He didn't.
If you stop it there.
Yeah, for that ball moved 10 yards before he reacted. Slowly. It weren't. I can understand it if the guy hit it like a rocket. What can you do? But that ball trickled in. He could have thrown his gloves on it. Like, that's how slow it was. I couldn't believe it when it went in. The only thing I can think of is he thought it was going wide. That's all I can think. He just got his bearings wrong. Thought it was going wide. And then I just for me, I used to play in goal, played all the time. If I could see that, I would be fuming myself. To not even die, I think it don't help he doesn't die for things. That's what the third time that's happened now. And I think it's starting to piss people off.
I think it's because he's normally pretty good with his bearings. A lot of the time when I watch, especially when you watch live, you think, why hasn't he dived for that? But actually, he's confident in knowing where he is in the goal and if the shot's going wide. So I think, as you said, he's probably thought in his head, that's fine, it's going wide. So he hasn't dived and he's just made a mistake, which obviously has cost us. But as Daz said, it's not just his mistake. But do you still think? I still think he stays in for Saturday. I don't think he's made enough mistakes to warrant coming out yet.
No,
but
it's difficult.
I think Schmidt's coming. He's coming closer, but he's not taking that shirt off Norris yet.
No, Norris pulled off some fantastic saves in the last game against West Brom. That one he did on the line was outstanding. But that's about 3 or 4 goals now. They've all been pretty similar. I do think he has to have, a little look over his shoulder at the moment. And then when we had Andrew Moon on the other week, when I asked him, for him, it was like there should be no question of dropping Norris. And he's right in what he said when I asked him about, why do you think people want him dropped? And it's just, people want to see something new and shiny. We can all watch highlight packages and make a player look fantastic. I know that better than anyone. No one can say they know how good Schmidt is. He is unknown quantity. Do I think it's worth Sheffield United to bring him in? No. I'll stick with Norris. If he has another howler, what we got after that? I can't think. Is it Cardiff next? Maybe that's when you look at bringing in Schmidt. But no, I wouldn't throw him in against Sheffield United. No chance. If it all goes wrong for Schmidt, that could really make it even worse.
That's it. This is where the EFL trophy would come in handy, right? Because you could play Schmidt, get him into some kind of rhythm, and then if he impresses, then bring him in the league. But if Mousinho was to then drop Norris for Saturday and play Schmidt, and he does green and spoons it in his own net or something, then you're just going to hear the shit ton of abuse of giving Mousinho go, wow, why did you drop Norris and why did you do that? So I don't think he can really win, but I just don't think he's not there yet. Maybe in a couple more months if we're kind of in a similar position. But what's more of a worry for me is the amount of goals we're conceding so late. I mean, that's 4 games we've conceded in the last in the 90 plus minutes, and 3 of them have cost us points. Do you think that's now becoming a issue, or like will it be playing on players' minds yet?
That's definitely something that's going to have to be addressed now, isn't it? Like you could let like the first couple of games go and just like sort of say you're getting used to the championship and things like that, but to concede so many late goals in such quick succession, that and I'm not. John Mousinho knows definitely how to do the job better than me, and I'm pretty sure they will be addressing it. And now they should have enough sort of like information and data and videos to be able to try and sort of narrow down whereabouts it is where they're having issues. And I suppose they've got the GPS trackers and stuff like that as well. So, but obviously the Burnley one was kind of a bit different because it's come from a really bad mistake. Then you can't account for that. John Mousinho's not sitting there at half time saying, Ritchie, want to bring you on, backheel it to one of their lads so they can get like score a winner. Sometimes it's the players that will let you down, and a couple of plays kind of did that on Saturday. But just in that moment, I wouldn't say like they were let down altogether, but in that moment, John Mousinho's been let down by certain players. And going back to what you said about John Mousinho coming out in Ritchie, absolutely no problem with that. Like football is not a like kissy huggy sort of situation all the time. Sometimes people need to hear the truth, and obviously Ritchie's been there, done it, and I think for John Mousinho, if he can out him a little bit in an interview, that sort of sets the tone for everyone else. It shows that it doesn't matter who you are coming in, whether you played the Premier League last season or you played non-league. If you make mistakes, then you're going to get it either in the changing room or in front of the cameras. But yeah, that's my view.
One last thing I want to ask you guys about the game on Saturday was substitutions and what we thought of them. Harry, what was your, should we have brought Daz on? I didn't see the need to make that many changes. I didn't think it needed it personally. I was quite surprised at the amount we did. Lang had to go off, fair enough. And then it was strange also not to bring Sorensen on and play Blair up front, which, obviously makes no difference to what happened in defence, but sort of just gives you an indication of does Mousinho even rate Sorensen? Was it a Hughes signing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a difficult one. Obviously, Potts isn't going to be able to last a full 90 yet. I mean, that was his first minutes for us and he lasted an hour. So that's a good start. Hopefully, I would imagine he will start on Saturday and hopefully he'll be able to play 80 or maybe even the full game. I think I would have brought on Kamara personally rather than Daz Haz, just because Daz Haz looked a bit shaky in the last few games, hence why he wasn't starting. It was a bit baffling that he didn't bring Sorensen on up front and he stuck Blair up there, just because we were getting a bit deeper. We were getting deeper and deeper. And if you want someone to be an out, Blair's not going to be that because he's got no physical attributes up against 2 centre halves, whereas Sorensen has got a bit more about him and he could easily hold his own a bit more. So I would have personally put Sorensen up front. But maybe he was thinking, well, if we can get the ball and get on the counter, that Blair's got the pace and he's got the pace to get in behind and push us further up the pitch. I mean, it was annoying. I mean, the subs weren't right for me, but how many times last year did Mousinho get the subs right, and they made such a good impact and positive impact in the game. It's not like every sub he makes, they've always gone badly. I just think it was just an off day.
Yeah, I just thought it was baffling the amount we brought on. And then what's even more, just before the goal, I don't know if you both remember, I don't even know if you've seen it, Daz, is we actually had quite a decent chance to score a late goal ourselves because I thought Murphy again looked quality. I think it was him that crossed the ball back and Silvera hit on the volley and for a minute it looked like it was going top corner. So that was a bit disappointing that he could have gone for us and instead they went up the other end and got the winner. Anyway, I think let's see if you got anything else you want to say about the game. I think it's a good place to move on to talking about the segment. I want to say we need to talk about Matt Ritchie. So how are you all feeling with Matt Ritchie at the moment? Because for me, my initial thought months and months ago, even before we were linked, when people always talked about it, I was like, they want him back, didn't see the point, his age, etc., etc. Then as time went on in the summer, I thought, you know what, Posnetsky done it, Merson done it, why not? Why should we not have him? And I'm not going to lie, anytime he's come on or started against Sunderland, he almost been a bit invisible. I don't know what you two think. I'll let either one of you decide to talk first.
To be honest, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking, obviously Richie's not had the best of starts. It's clear to see that. But thinking about it today, I don't think there's a reason to kind of be surprised that he hasn't had the best of starts yet. I mean, he didn't have a pre-season. He didn't play a lot of football last season. I know he made a couple of Premier League appearances off the bench and that, but he's barely played for a year, so he needs game time, which means he also needs to be able to not be at his best or make a couple of mistakes. Obviously, you don't want a mistake like he did against Burnley, but that's why you want to make mistakes higher up the pitch. And if he does that, that's okay. We can kind of deal with it. But yeah, I think we're going to have to try and find somewhere that suits his attributes right now, because he's not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago. And that's also down to not playing a great deal, because as you get older, you need to keep moving around, otherwise you seize up. I know that more than anyone. My hamstring injuries as I've got later on playing football. But yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of going a little bit over the top at the moment. He's clearly not playing well at the moment. That's fine. But I think, as I said, we're only a few games into the season. Well, more than a few games, but and I think we just need to give him probably a little bit more time. And I think Mousinho needs to find. I don't know whether he'd be better in a 10 or anything like that, because I think out on the wing, because if we're going to use pace, he hasn't got that anymore. And if we are going to put him out the wing and him deliver it with his right foot, we need a natural number 9. We need a Yengi or Bishop up there, so that when he gets it out there, he can put it in straight away. And someone like Yengi and Bishop's going to read it and be there and be a big force and compete in the air. So yeah, obviously he's not started great. That's plain to see. But I do think we need to give him a little bit of time. But obviously, I don't know what wages he's on and stuff like that. So he's going to have to really start producing the goods, at least within the next month or two. That's my opinion.
Harry, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's just probably maybe just kind of struggling to cope with it. He obviously didn't play a whole lot for Newcastle last season, so maybe he's still not kind of where he wants to be fitness wise. I think if we're having this conversation still in a couple of months' time, then I think you can start to worry. But I think at the moment, I agree with Daz. I'd maybe look at playing him or try and moving him centrally as the 10. But Lane did really well the weekend, so I think Lane's kind of got that spot for now. So I think he's a good. player. I think also as well, he was kind of brought in for more of an experienced head, just to have someone who's been there and done that and got the t-shirt. 'Cause we've got a fairly young, raw, inexperienced squad for the championship level. Obviously, Pack has played there as well. But you think of the foreign guys we've brought in, obviously Sorensen, Schmid, Silvera played in championship last season, but Farrell, Yengi's obviously come in from. So a lot of them haven't actually been in the English leagues at all. So I think he's there for the experience as well.
Yeah, I think maybe probably both right. Probably just needs a little bit more time. And I agree, he has to go central, in my opinion. I think the championship on the way you just gotta have pace about you. And he doesn't. I don't think he ever had it, really, did he? To be honest. Would you start him in the near future, or would you have him coming on? Would you have him coming on if we're winning a game, or rather than trying to hold on to a draw? Was that a mistake? Or maybe did he bring him on for the experience and then ended up costing us doing something you'd expect Blair to do, not Ritchie?
Potentially, I think Lane has got that at least for probably Saturday, playing as that 10 because he did really well at Burnley. But you probably do want to bring him on when we're winning, just so he has a bit more freedom. So he might have a bit more time on the ball because I don't know, maybe they might still be pressing us if we're winning. It depends who we're playing and stuff, doesn't it? It kind of depends on the game. But I think maybe if we're in a winning situation, it might be a bit easier to kind of let him do his thing. But again, it depends where you put him. If you put him on the wing again, are you liable to being attacked down that side with not 100%, not a lot of pace? But if you put him kind of centrally, then maybe it would work. I think it's just a bit. Again, he just needs a bit of time, but he needs the minutes as well to kind of get up to speed. It's a hard one to know, really.
Yeah, to be honest, I would like to think that no matter if we brought him on losing, drawing, or winning, that he wouldn't be making the same kind of mistakes he did against Burnley. Because obviously, being a very experienced player, been there and done it, you'd like to think he'd learn from those mistakes. But yeah, the only time I'd probably want to put him out on the right would be if we've got a Yengi or a Bishop up top, a natural number 9 who can compete in the air. But I don't think he is probably going to be starting. Well, he won't be starting Saturday. He might, that's what I think. Whether he starts, because I think we've got Stoke coming up, haven't we? QPR, Oxford. Whether he starts in those situations, I'm not sure. But he does, as Harry said, does need game time. And this is where the old Johnson Paint Trophy could have come in handy. Players like him, Farrell and Schmidt and that lot could have been playing in those games. So they did kind of have their plus points those games. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. Whether he starts on Saturday, I don't think he will, because I've obviously said I think Lane will be in at that number 10 role. Murphy out on the left, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Silvera went out on the right. I know he likes to cut in and things like that, but if we can have two pacey wingers that can run with the ball, Silvera might have to do that. I don't know, Blair can play out there, but obviously Silvera's got a little bit more experience, and I think we're going to need that, especially against Sheffield United.
That's a good way to segue on to our next segment, which is previewing Sheffield United on Saturday. Should we start with you then, Harry? Any changes you'd make to the lineup? I know we have to change Lang. I believe Shotless, he's got a chance, but I swear he said that for about a month. Farrell's been training. Is there someone else back? Am I missing someone? Or was that it? Is everyone else still injured? Yengi's still injured, isn't he?
Yengi's training but not fit for this weekend.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he is starting up front.
Yeah, same as Mahoney as well, isn't it? Mahoney or Mahoney, whatever you can say his name. His bruised foot. They just don't think he's going to be ready for this weekend. But as Harry said, that means he could be playing up front as well. Just don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't think the back seven stays the same. The keeper, the back four, and the two in midfield, Pack and Potts. You probably leave Lane as the 10. Just if they're not fit. I mean, if they're fit, if the strikers are fit, I would drop Sadie into the 10, put Lane on the right, and put one of the strikers up front. But I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll stick with Sadie as the striker. In which case, you probably bring in Blair or Ritchie to start on the right with Murphy on the left. So it's kind of an enforced change, really, over tactical, because as we discussed, the performance was clearly there, and if we keep performing like that, it will tick, and we will win, and points will come eventually. We just have to ride the rough patch. So, a couple of changes have to be made because of the injuries, but not known tactically, really.
For me, I'd like to see Silvera come in on the right. Well, because I mean, you don't really see it that much anymore. Where you'd have a set of wingers and then they would just swap sides probably out every 10, 15 minutes. I don't really see that much anymore. But obviously with Silvera and Murphy, I think they're both predominantly right-footed. So they like to cut in. So I don't see an issue why those two couldn't play as like one on the left, one on the right, then every 10, 15 minutes or so swap over. I think Sadie would be starting up top. Whether I would start him up top or not is another thing, but that's what I think Mousinho will go with. And then, I think the only change is obviously out on that right if Sadie's up top with Lane in at 10. So it'll be interesting to see who he goes with, to be honest. I'd like to see some pace, to be honest, because I think we're going to need it. Because Sheffield United, do they still play like that 3-5-2 or whatever it is with the overlapping right and left centre backs? Because if they do that, we do need pace to get in amongst that. So it'd be interesting to see what he does.
No, I think they play similar to us when I looked the other day. I'm sure they do.
Because in the Premier League, they used to play that overlapping centre-backs, didn't they?
Yeah,
but that's how they caught teams out in the first season, wasn't it?
That was when they had, what's his name? I'm so bad with names.
Chris Wilder.
Chris Wilder, that's it.
Who's there now?
He's there now, yeah.
Oh, is he back now?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that happened.
Because Heckenbottom, he's gone
this
to
is that much,
Preston.
Right? So I just want to point out, Harry asked us if we support other teams in the chat the other day, and my honest answer is I don't care about anyone else, and that just proves it. I generally don't pay any attention to any club bar our own.
So he came back at the end of last season when they were in the Premier League, and they kind of brought him back to kind of say, we know we're down, just comfort, soften the blow, and we'll get you in to go again in the Championship.
Wow.
But they don't play the same as they did when he was first there.
No, I remember looking at like their last few lineups, and I'm sure it was pretty much the same sort of shape that we start with. Who would you have on the right, Daz? Did you say?
For me, I'd like some proper right pace out there, and I would start Silvera out the right.
I don't think Adam's happy with you. He messaged in with a Silvera sick emoji next to him.
Oh, sorry, Adam.
Is he not a fan? And he said, absolutely not.
Oh, sorry, Adam. I'll make it up to you when I see you. Down the crook, I'll buy you a beer at some point and give you a little cuddle. I'm sorry, mate. But it's only because I want some proper pace and and him and Murphy could maybe alternate. But I think it's probably going to be Blair out there. Probably if we're going to need some pace out there, because I just don't think he'll start Ritchie. Or you never know, he might start him and be like, here's some redemption for you, go out there and have at least a good hour, and then sort of prove some of the doubters wrong. Could be a situation.
I would play Blair. I've been impressed with Blair. I like players, wingers who sort of get their head down and get that ball in the box as quick as they can. Which is what he does, sort of kind of a bit like Kamara last season, really, wasn't it? He didn't faff about. It was just get it down, get it down the wing, beat your man, and put the ball in the box or put it in the net. And hopefully Blair's that similar type of player. So that's what I'll go for. Harry, before we go on to predictions, what's the league table again between our own little league of predictions?
So last week, you predicted a 2-0 loss, so you got 1 point. Daz went for a 1-1 draw, so went got no points, and I predicted a 2-1 loss, which is a very small silver lining, got me 3 points. So the table is now Daz bottom on 0, Russ second on 2 points, and I'm top on 3.
Daz, your positivity is ruining your score at the moment.
Mate,
be more negative.
Mate, I was a back hill from Ritchie away of being absolutely spot on with the score. So
yeah, he was. Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. Blame him.
I will. Thanks very much.
Right. So, Harry, prediction and a goal scorer.
I'm gonna go for another loss. And I know it sounds bad, but I just think with players like Gus Harmer, I just think he's so good, and I just think he's just gonna just do us. So I'm gonna go for a 3-1 loss with Gus Harmer to score for them.
Fair enough. Daz, are you going to be more negative this week, or are you going to cling on to your positivity?
I'm going to be positive again. I'm going to give it one more week, and if it obviously backfires, I'm going to predict 5-0 losses every week for the rest of the season. I'm going 1-1 again, and I'm going to have Josh Murphy. He's going to score. He's going to do it for me.
Did you pick a scorer, Harry?
Yeah, Gus Harmer.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Whichever you want to be.
I'm actually going to go even more positive than Daz. I got this horrible... Well, I say it's not a horrible feeling. This weird feeling that we're going to somehow do one of them fratting atmospheres and fratting performances we've all seen down the years and somehow get a win. I'm going to go for a 1-0. And can I pick the same scorer or do I have to pick someone else?
Let Daz decide that as he picked it.
Because I already had my
we went
1-0 Murphy in my head all day. So
I was going to say, as you've been very positive, I'll allow it.
Oh,
I'll allow it.
Quality, mate. Murphy own goal it is. By the way, if we ever said Paul to score when he got an own goal, does that count?
No.
Nah.
It's got to be in the correct net.
So if Hammer don't scores an own goal the weekend, then you don't get a point either then, no?
Nope.
Right, okay, we're clear on the own goal situation. Right, so that's 1-0 for me. Murphy, Daz has gone 1-1 with Murphy. And Harry, you went with, was it 1-0?
3-1 loss.
3-1 loss. And he didn't pick a Pompey goal scorer out of that.
No, because I can't pick who. I went for a.
I don't know. I think if you put a Pompey down to get a goal, you've got to pick a Pompey goal scorer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, you went for a Burnley.
Yeah, but that was because I predicted Pompey to score 0. So I can't pick a Pompey goal scorer.
Okay, all right.
Josh Murphy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Why not?
Yeah, go on.
Let's just neutralise the whole thing.
Fair enough. So it doesn't matter who scores. We'll all just get a point.
It's all on the result.
It's all on the result. We got a win, a loss, and a draw. So there we go. Right, moving on to Harry versus Daz. Haz versus Daz, I should say. Round 2. Now, Daz, do we need to go over the rules?
Hot potato, innit?
Yep, we're going to do a bit of hot potato. We're going to do 3 rounds because I know we're trying to keep it under sort of the hour. So we're just going to do best of 3. Whoever gets the 2, obviously get the win. Daz, you're going to start because you won last week. You're currently 1-0 up. So you get to go first. And whoever wins the round will get to start first in the next round. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So you're going to have 1 minute
Mhm.
And I will quickly explain the rules just in case someone who's listening doesn't know. It's very simple. I'll give them a subject. They've got to say names or whatever within a minute. And the last one to say a correct answer by the time the buzzer goes wins the round. But if someone says an incorrect answer, then no matter how long's left, they've lost the round. All right? So, your first category is teams Pompey beat in League One last season. Go.
Reading.
Yes.
Barnsley.
Yes.
Lincoln City.
Yes.
Why is my mind just gone?
Not 2 weeks on the trot.
Bolton.
Yes.
Peterborough.
Yes.
See, they've just all gone because they're not relevant to us anymore. Do you know what I mean?
You've had half your time.
I've forgotten who else was there.
There was 23 of them.
Stevenage.
Yes.
Burton.
Yes.
Daz, can you just slow down a
Nah.
bit so I can think? Yeah?
This is my chance to do something.
Time. Daz won that first round.
This is my chance to do something because I'm going to lose the prediction league.
Right. Round 2. So it starts with you again, Daz.
Right.
This time you've got to think of any Pompey player score in the championship, and I'm making that clear, the championship, not Division 1 or the old Division 2. So that's your 2 seasons after we got relegated from the Premier League, and then anyone who scored this season. All right?
Yeah.
Right, go.
Sadie.
Yes.
Lang.
Yes.
Liam Lawrence.
Yes.
Luke 09.
Yes.
You
had to make me think then.
Dave Kitson.
Yes.
Okay. Bell Hadge.
Oh, no, that's the incorrect answer. He had left.
Was he not in the champ with
He
us?
left us after the 2010 Premier League season. So that is now put Daz 2-0 up in the quiz. In the Not Ben Cup. That
You
will
can't
be
see me, I'm just doing a knee slide in the living room right now.
Harry, your brain goes completely blank, doesn't it?
It really does.
You need to do
That's
to do
terrible.
some quizzes at home just to get your mind.
I'm gonna have to do like some revision.
You will.
Well, the thing is, I watched for some random reason Pompey Leicester when we beat them. Was it 6-1? Popped up on my timeline either today or yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's how I had like.
You just named them goal scorers.
What I was naming all those, yeah.
Michael Brown was
ready.
next. David Nugent was next.
Obviously, forgot one of the greatest ones in the championship was David Norris, wasn't it?
Yeah. Although he did throw me with Luke 09 because I just kept. I didn't hear the Luke. I just heard the 09, and then I thought, "Who the fuck's 09?" And then I twigged. But yeah.
Well, he technically scored for Pompey, didn't he?
Oh yeah, no, it's an own goal. Yeah, I'll accept it.
And you could have had Sorensen this season as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, could have had Sorensen. So yeah, there we go. Well done.
Merci.
Right. God, we managed to keep it about 50 minutes, boys. So
good work.
Shall we move on to any other business before we end it?
Yeah.
Anything?
I have come up with my own little thing for you two,
right?
Which needs to come up with a way better name, but it's Harry's Pompey Trivia of the Week.
Oh.
So it's going to be a question just related to any Pompey player that has played for us and see if you can get it. But I need to come up with a better tagline because that is awful.
Who are you?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So we'll go. The first one this week is just a bit of fun. There's no scoring or leagues like we do for ours. But the trivia is, which ex-Pompey goalkeeper scored in the Premier League after 13 seconds of their game?
Begovic.
Yeah, there we go. Nice and easy to start with.
It was.
Against them lot as well, wasn't it?
It was. It makes it even sweeter.
Lovely.
Legend.
Any other bits? Anything come up? Anyone seen anything they want to talk about?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Oh,
I'll have to think of something as well for like a little game or something like that, or a little segment.
The only quick thing I saw was I just listened to a quick clip of Mousinho before, and he was like, "Oh, we want to make Fratton Park kind of like a fortress, and we hope that kind of like the fans play their part." And I just think, are we really at that stage already that he needs to come out and say that? Because he admittedly said the fans have been we've been really well backed, and obviously, bearing in mind we haven't won yet, we have been backing them well, and I think that's because they've got plenty of credit in the bank. It worries me that does he think that we're going to turn already? Is that why he's having to say that?
I think it's probably got something to do with obviously the goals that we're conceding so late. I think I said it before the Sunderland game. I think if we're in a position where we're winning or getting a good draw out, because a draw at home against Sheffield United, as long as we perform well, will be a good point still. About trying to get the players over the line, a bit like we did against Oxford last season, when obviously there was non-stop chanting for 10 minutes, was it? So I think maybe he's trying to delve into that, because obviously, especially if we get into those last 5-10 minutes of the game and we've got a positive result at that time, I think he might be hoping for that sort of reaction, which I hope is the same. Well, I'm not there on Saturday, but the Oxford game was top quality. I love that, and hopefully we get a little bit of the same. But again, at the same time, the players have to give the fans something to go off, and if we can have anything like the first half against West Brom and the first half against Burnley, especially, put that into a more like a 70 to 80 minutes over the course of a game, and then hopefully the fans can push them through that last maybe 10-15 minutes. But that's what I got from that interview, actually.
Yeah, I think it's important that we win the bloody coin toss, because I'm sick of shooting the Fratton in the first half. Teams know. We've gone through periods in the past where it doesn't matter, but at the moment we really need to be kicking towards that Fratton in the second half, because so far all the two games we've swapped the halves, Luton first half and West Brom first half at home, have been our best halves, and they all were both kicking against the Fratton end.
Yeah, I think teams know what they're doing, though, don't they? They know full well what we like to do, and the fact we like to kick it towards the Fratton end of the second half. I mean, unless you're Clark Robertson and you do it on purpose because you're a dick.
No, he didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, he's scapegoat, isn't he?
No, I can vouch for this. Is because I put a sarcastic tweet up about it, and he DM'd me and said, "Honestly, well, I'm not doing it on purpose. I am just terrible at winning coin tosses."
That was just the luck of the way it was going.
It was about 6 on the trot, I think it was.
Oh, it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
He actually asked me for the next home game, "What you tell me, heads or tails, and then I'll tell everyone it's your fault." So I said, "Go tails," because it never fails. Next home game, he said he's going to go tails, and we won the coin toss.
I love that, to be fair. Fair play, because some players would just get aggy and sort of turn and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm guessing he meant it all in jest and having a laugh with it all. I'm glad of that. It's good. You don't want players getting up their own arse and getting funny and getting their backs up. Because clearly it was like a tongue-in-cheek tweet from you, wasn't it? So I like that. Fair play to him.
You can't control fate at the end of the day, can you?
No.
It's not like he's gone, ref, make sure it's tails and I'll pick heads because we want to go the other. it's just one of those things. And when it's against you, it's against you. But I fully, as you said, Daz, the Oxford game last year, if we kind of get ourselves into a similar position again, if we're kind of holding on, because we've had away performances that have been there, but home performances not so much yet. So if we get a good first half on Saturday, like the Burnley game, and we've got something, they've shown us some promise that we can kind of cling on to and attach ourselves to, then we'll be behind them, and they'll have 19,000 Pompey fans behind them and fully backing them the whole time.
Well, we have to win that coin toss and make sure we're shooting at Milton end in the first half. I don't want, if we swap again, then we'll have to go in 2-0 up after. It's the only way we got a chance. What I will say is a couple of other things I've noticed coming from, even I've seen a couple of Sheff United fans already say it. Burnley fans have said it. And even I know, Daz, you didn't watch the game, but I believe you did, Harry, that how complimentary Burnley's commentators were for us, which League One, you never frigging heard that. Everyone, we were dominated team, batter them, and they were still somehow the better team. But they were fully complimentary of us, and I've seen loads of Burnley fans say you'll be absolutely fine. You've got nothing to worry about. We've seen a lot worse. And the same, I've seen a few Sheff United fans say, "Look, this ain't going to be easy. Don't, they're going to be fine. They're better than than their results show." So I don't know if either of you have noticed anything like that. That we seem to be getting the blessing from the other clubs in the team.
I think the Burnley commentators were pretty decent, to be honest, and they kind of acknowledged the fact that a team coming up from League One had the fact how tough our first 7 games have been, and you're right. We shouldn't. It's not like we're stinking the place out every week. All right, we've done it in patches, but we're not playing a full 90 woefully, and we've deserved. All right, maybe we got a bit lucky with Leeds and Middlesbrough, but you ride your own luck at sometimes. But we fully deserved a point from Burnley, and we didn't get it. So it kind of balances itself out. It's not gonna. I don't think it'll be. It's not like that we're going to roll over for Sheffield United. I just think that they're a Premier League team, and they've just got. At the end of the day, they've just got a little bit too much quality for us, and that's all that stops us. But after this game, we play the likes of Stoke, Oxford and QPR, who are more around our area, who are our fight this year. So once we get there, and if we can pick up a win against them, then we kind of kick on after that.
Yeah, I think some obviously like the likes of Sheffield United fans will probably be looking at obviously the games we've played, and apart from West Bromwich and Sunderland, we've been in it and we've had a chance. Obviously, we picked up 3 points in the first 3 games, and then I mean we could have picked up all 3 on Saturday if we were switched on, or at least 1 anyway. So they're probably sort of looking at those results, knowing that if we can go to Burnley and play particularly well and nearly come away with a point, they know coming down our place, it's going to be a tough afternoon for them. And I think you get a bit more respect from the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley fans, and even Leeds and stuff like that, because they know sort of we're quite similar in the sort of fan bases and clubs. Do you mean it's not like a manufactured tourist ground you go into and that sort of stuff? You actually come to a decent stadium with a decent atmosphere, proper football kind of stuff. And when I started sort of supporting Pompey, when we were in the old Division 1, well, we were playing against Sheffield United and Burnley's all the time, so there's always been that history there, and obviously we're all well supported clubs, so I think that's where we get a bit of respect from. And all I hear is a lot of clubs, fans from clubs like Leeds and that stuff, that are happy that we're back in the same league as them, because obviously I think it brings back memories of when you're a kid playing against certain teams and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's probably where it comes from. Well, in my opinion, anyway.
Right, I think that's a good place to end it. Bang on an hour. So thank you everyone for listening. I believe this will be uploaded on Spotify, hopefully with an intro. I haven't had much time, lads, just to let you know. But I will swing some over, so it might have to start from the next episode. I don't know. When do these go up, Harry, normally?
I normally try and get it out maybe later tonight, but I can always delay it until tomorrow. We can always just go from next week if you want.
Yeah, go from next week. It'll give me time then. And then I can send 3 or 4 over, and then you can decide. You boys can decide what ones you prefer. So other than that, thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you next week, same time.